With the recent closure of Ready at Dawn by Meta, who acquired the studio back in 2020, it seemed like a great time to revisit an underappreciated PlayStation 4 exclusive, The Order 1886. We thoroughly enjoyed the game when it released nearly a decade ago, but how do we feel about The Order 1886 in 2024, removed from the release marketing, hype, expectations, and the criteria that has evolved over the years of what makes a good game? Looking back on things, The Order 1886 has a review average of 63, with some outlets like GameSpot giving it a 5 out of 10, and on the other end of the spectrum, Game Trailers giving the game an 8.2 out of 10. The reality of The Order 1886 likely lies somewhere in between these opinions. In 2015, expectations for a game were different. Many believed that there was a direct correlation between length and quality. Oddly enough, it was about the same time where this idea started to become a little more malleable. Until Dawn, another PlayStation exclusive, would release about 6 months after The Order 1886 and would also be full price, with the experience lasting around 8 hours as well. Gaming evolved and became more about quality over length. Games like The Last Guardian, Doom 2016, Resident Evil 7, Hellblade 1, Control, Half-Life Alyx, Resident Evil Village, Metroid Dread, and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus all released after The Order 1886, but none endured the scrutiny that Ready at Dawn did. In fact, all of these games all have an average review score of over 80. Gameplay might not be at the forefront of The Order 1886 like some of these other titles, but it's the story, cinematic atmosphere, and visuals that more than make up for its shortcomings. It's truly hard to believe that The Order 1886 is 10 years old. Most of what the game offers is better than most games today. The visuals are mostly mind-blowing, especially considering it was a PlayStation 4 title. The score is rich with horror undertones, it is evocative of the era, and the world building is without reproach. However, the highlight of The Order 1886 is the story that takes place in a post-industrial era, firmly supplanted in the Gilded Age, blended with an alternate history as you play as Grayson, also known as Sir Galahad, one of the members of Her Majesty's Royal Knights. They are a secret service blended with something like Men in Black that deals with the supernatural. The threat at hand is werewolves, or as the game refers to them, lycans or half-breeds. Not only is the story a refreshing change from zombies, aliens, and other common gaming tropes, but it also intertwines this fictional world with a slightly alternate history, with things like Jack the Ripper also roaming the streets, in an experience that feels wholly unique even to this day. Part of what makes The Order 1886 a more interactive cinematic experience than game are some of the decisions that Ready at Dawn made, including the widescreen aspect ratio, complete with letterboxing for the entire game. Choices like this, in addition to the incredible cinematography and a title screen that arrives nearly 10 minutes in, create such an immersive atmosphere. The story is aided by incredible voice acting and chapters that are short and engaging, and they feel more analogous to your favorite season on streaming, as they create a binge-worthy feeling. One of the core gameplay elements is the cover-based shooting, which isn't itself anything to celebrate or criticize, but what makes it stand out is the arsenal that features resistance-level unique weapons designed by your pal Nikola Tesla. Highlights include the induction lance, it is the 1800s version of a lightning gun, and the thermite gun, which sends bursts of magnesium towards your enemies, which then can be ignited into a wall of fire. Okay, now that we have gushed over why The Order 1886 was ahead of its time, let's talk about what could have been better or even been improved in a sequel. For almost every problem about the game, there is a very simple way to easily transform it into a strength. Obviously, the core gameplay loop is somewhat shallow. Decent cover-based shooting arenas, cutscene, and then walking a linear world to the next shooting arena. We discussed earlier how incredible and original some of the weapons felt, but they were underutilized in frequency and design. For the most part, you will be using your rifle, SMG, or handgun. If some of these battles were designed around the originality of these weapons, it would have made a very big difference in the experience. Occasionally, there are some stealth sections which were fine, but did become a little tedious towards the end as they lacked refinement. The enemy types are mostly the same, with basic soldiers that are occasionally spiced up with a shotgunner or a rocket launcher, or even the rare werewolf fight, which includes a lot of QuickTime style events. In between the cutscenes, you spend a lot of time exploring gorgeous and fully realized areas with things to find around the world. There are plenty of items to pick up and inspect, but at best they add minimal lore, and at worst they add no value. Inspecting items reveals how stunningly intricate these visuals are, but why not take this system and incorporate integral parts of the game into it? Maybe you need a code, or maybe you need a key that's hidden in a secret compartment, or maybe a crucial story element can be revealed by reading a document. The opportunity to transform this mechanic into something that adds value rather than detracting from it was right there. It feels slightly ironic that the Order 1886 was set in the Gilded Age, which was about gold-plated appearances with flawed remnants underneath. Ready at Dawn was founded by developers from studios like Naughty Dog and Blizzard, just to give you an idea of the talent, and it shows. With the disappointing but almost expected result post-acquisition closure of Ready at Dawn, the silver lining is that events like this do bring more eyes to their catalog. The Order 1886 was unfairly maligned due to the overhype that came along with it. It offered something unique that was less of a game and more of a cinematic experience, akin to a season that you might binge on your favorite streaming service, in what felt like a harmonious blend of Uncharted and Until Dawn. The Order 1886 felt like Season 1, and it accomplished a very important goal of leaving you wanting more. With Sony owning the IP, there is still a small glimmer of hope that we will get a sequel eventually. Before leaving, consider subscribing if you learned anything new from the video or enjoyed the vibes. If you're unfamiliar, we're trying to cultivate a community full of positivity that's free from toxicity and negativity. If this sounds like your style, we'd love to have you. One of our main goals is to hit 15,000 subs in 2024, and you can help with just a click of a button. That's everything for today, but until next time, be good to your fellow gamer, but be better to your fellow human.